guess I'm down here too. Dang it. Okay, alright. You just know that Bambi, he may eat some of his friends. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Game Blind. Today's episode is going to be about the white-tailed deer, or the Odocoileus virginianus. So this animal belongs to the kingdom of Animalia, the phylum Chordata, the class of Mammalia, the order of Ordeodactylia, the family Cervid, and the genus Odocoileus. There are about 38 subspecies of white-tailed deer, 17 of them which are in the US, but we're not going to get into that in this video. They're in the family of the Cervid, which is interesting. That includes all deer across all continents, to include the whitetail, the mule deer, elk, moose, and caribou. And they're also ruminants. All Cervids are also ruminants, meaning they have a four-chambered stomach because they can't digest the food that they eat because they eat it so fast. So what they'll do is they'll eat it, they'll store it in the chamber, in the first chamber, throw it back up, and then eat it again to help break it down. What's also interesting is ruminants also include cattle, sheep, pronghorns, which I'll put a photo of because sometimes people get a little confused on what that is, and even giraffes. So these guys can get about anywhere between 2.5 to 3.5 feet at the shoulder and about 71 inches long. Bucks can get anywhere between 203 pounds, and the common range is anywhere between 200 to 300 pounds, with even a report of a 405-pound white-tailed deer, which is quite massive. And the does are quite smaller, some of them. They can get anywhere between 155 pounds on average, and anywhere between 90. We're actually going to go on foot down this road, because hopefully we have some feeding right down here. Those will get anywhere between 90 to 200 pounds, with a report of a 218-pound doe at one point. Genetics, nutrition, habitat, and location all play a part in it. Like I said, there's 17 subspecies in the states. Northern deer tend to be larger than the southern deer. And even if you get into stuff like the prairie versus the white-tailed deer, the prairie deer tend to be a little bit bigger than the hills deer. So going on to appearance, we kind of saw it at the beginning. What we saw was that grayish, brownish coat. That was also a mature buck. They may not be very active today because it is overcast. I do hear a wolf. We're going to check right down here, and then if not, we're gonna sleep so we can keep this thing moving. Oh, never mind. Alright, I was a goof. Oh, if it was a 5-star mature, I would take him right now. Alright, so we're going to talk about something right now. You see the tail position right now. This is flagging. They use that to tell about danger in the area. They also do it because they're not quite sure what I am. Deer rely very heavily on their sense of smell. We as humans have about 5 million olfactory... Man, they all just said, yeah, nah, he's good. Humans have 5 million olfactory receptors. Deer have 297 million. So going back to the appearance, before we almost blew those guys out of here, we saw kind of what the winter coat would look normally. It'd be that kind of grayish, reddish brown color. This is kind of more their summer coloring. You see this kind of reddish brown. What's really interesting about their hair structure is the hairs are hollow. The hollow hairs act as insulation, similar to how a down jacket works. So the air pockets help trap the heat, helps keep them warm. But they're called the whitetail because of that whitetail. We saw it kind of in action. With that, what they were doing was called flagging. That's how they communicate danger. Especially something like that. I think that was actually very accurate for the game, of showing us, hey, we don't really know what that thing is. We know something's not right, but we can't be quite certain, because going back to the senses, their eyes aren't great. They can see a 310 degree field of view, but they have about 20/60 vision, which is awful. And they have more rods than cones, meaning that they're really good at picking up light in low light situations, but they can't see colors very well, specific colors very well. Now this may come to a shock to some of you, and this is actually something a lot of hunters have questions on, is can deer see orange? Yes and no. Deer see orange, but they'll see oranges and reds more brown. They see blues exceptionally well. So if you are hunting and you're a person that, says, hey, I'm having a lot of trouble because the orange is, giving me away. Try sitting still. You spend all that money on your Sitka camouflage. It's doing its job. Just sit still. Okay, these are probably my whitetails. We're gonna put a short little stock on these guys. So they have white around their throats, their eyes, the nose, the belly, and obviously the underside of the tail. That underside of that tail also helps fawns when they're following their mothers, running through thick coverage to keep up with them and know where they're at, or know where the mom's at. You actually look fairly good too. You're 3. I'll take out the adult. I'm gonna take a shot at this guy. So kind of their range and habitat, you can find whitetail deer in every one of the 48 contiguous United States, and anywhere for hardwood, forest, croplands, brushlands, pasturelands, wetlands, and even suburban areas. That's really important because especially like the brushland or the croplands, you'll find a lot of deer out there. They like alfalfa fields, cornfields, all that stuff. It provides great cover. So just if you're in that, okay, he stood up. We're gonna drop that down. Hopefully get a drop him. Yeah, we did. Let's take a, oh my gosh, if I can stand up. Stop aiming. So suburban areas, yeah, whitetail deer are very adaptable. It's one of the many, many cool features about the deer. The research was a lot of fun to do. I learned so much about this animal that I've hunted a lot. Little worry. Okay, whew, that was a good call. Oh man, this dude a little funky. Kind of looks like me. So diet. What they like to eat during the summer is primarily grasses, legumes, weeds, fruits, crops, green leaves, shrubs, and tree growth. We will actually, when we go back to Diamond Drill, I'll kind of show you an example of that. That's a rock. In the wintertime, they'll eat acorns, woody stems, evergreen leaves, bark, and twigs. The max height that food can be above the deer's back is 4.5 feet, or else they're not really going to be able to reach it. Let's go this way. There's usually some elk, but we may run into some deer over here as well. So let's talk about kind of their lifespan. When I was doing my research, it varied a lot. And that's due to a lot of different factors, such as diseases, hunting, human pressure, weather, predators. We'll get into all that here in a couple minutes. But the average range was about anywhere to 2 to 6 years. Now, it's not uncommon to see deers push that 7 or 8 year mark as well, but that's usually an old deer. Now in captivity, oh my goodness, there have been some reports of deer pushing up to the 15 to even 20 years old, and in one of the sources that I found, it even said a deer up to 21 years old, which is absolutely insane. Bucks tend to live a lot shorter than the females, as most men do in the human species as well, because we like to do dumb things. The deer like to especially do dumb things during the rut. So what is the rut? The rut is the breeding season for the deer. That is when the bucks are going to go out. We're going to take a look up this river. Bucks are going to go out to look to breed does. This, depending on where you're at in the country, depends when this takes place. So in the north, the rut usually takes place in November, and in the south it can take place anywhere between January and February, January to February, maybe even early December. The bucks will fight to assert dominance to have the rights to breed the does, and they use their antlers to do so. So, going into kind of what happens after that, there's a 6.5 to 7 month gestation period for the does. I just spooked something. Oh, no, that was a fox. What's up, my guy? A doe can produce anywhere between 1 to 3 fawns per birth. The fawns are very, very cute. I'll put a photo of them on the screen. And they're born with little white spots. That helps them blend into the floor when mom leaves them to go get food. Now, something really interesting that I also found out during this researching process was that fawns are born scentless, and when the mom leaves, like I've seen deer up here, When the mom leaves, she can leave for hours at a time, and what she'll do is she'll leave that fawn just laying in the ground, or laying on the ground. Because that fawn is scentless, the predator's not going to be able to pick it up. If a doe has more than one fawn, she will leave them in separate spots so that if a predator finds them, obviously they don't find both. So then after that, they get into their adolescence. After the first year, what my understanding was when I was doing it, and kind of what I was reading, is that antler growth doesn't start until after the first year of a deer's life. So once the antler growth does start, it starts in the spring. They'll shed them towards the December time frame, late January. Get them off, and they'll start growing out of the pedicles on the skull. That then brings it to oh my gosh, I swear English is my first language, guys. Take a look down. I just found a road again. There's the wind. Wind sucks right now for this. Yeah, that's probably some deer. Take a look. So the bucks will go. Yeah. What are you? Oh, you're elk. Okay, we're chilling. They'll go into what's called the velvet stage. The velvet provides the nutrients and blood flow for the antlers to actually grow. And a yearling's antlers can grow like 3/4 of an inch per week, where a mature bucks will grow an inch and a half per week, which is insane. Some factors that affect the antler growth are genetics, age, nutrition, and health. However, like in this game, you'll hear me talk about culling the herds, getting the bad genetics out. Just because bad genetics are out and good genetics are in doesn't mean the good genetics are actually going to take over. Going back to kind of basic biology, look at the Punnett square. They have to get the traits. If they don't get it, they may still carry them, but they may not get them. Kind of what we saw in that one herd. That one dude is really, really low fitness, but there's a 3-star mature sitting right next to him. Antlers and horns are not the same thing. A deer does not have horns, nor does a goat, nor does like a bighorn sheep have antlers. Antlers are bone. They are true bone. They're made of calcium and phosphorus primarily. They grow in a branching pattern, and they shed every single year. Horns don't do that. Horns typically grow with that animal their entire life. They don't shed them. They actually tend to be hollow. And I'll have to do a little bit of research. I'll ask my resident conservation biologist about this. But I'm pretty sure they're made of keratin, which is just the same structure as hair. If you're interested in learning more about antler anatomy, let me know in the comments. I'll make an actual video just dedicated to that. Whitetail are fairly physically capable. They're able to run up to 30 miles per hour. They can jump 10 feet vertically in the air, and they can jump 30 feet horizontally in a single bound, which is kind of crazy. Whitetails will communicate in a couple different ways. They'll communicate through sound. They'll stomp, they'll blow, snort, and wheeze. This is based on my personal experiences, and I didn't look up any of this in the actual research. I just kind of knew this. Ooh. Anyways, and when I hear deer stomp, it's usually because they see me, but they can't smell me. They don't know what I am. Going back to their senses, they rely on their nose, not really their eyes. Their eyes, even though they can see really well in the dark, they're not very sharp. They pick up movement well. They can't pick up details as well. So usually when I saw a deer stomping, we were sitting in tree stands and they looked up at us. They could see us moving, but they couldn't really smell us. They didn't know what we were. Versus blowing is usually when they smell you. They know something's really up. We're really up here. Okay, we are back here, and we're going to go look at what I would consider in this game a rub. This is another way that they communicate. It's also a good way. They are still down there. I guess it still is. I guess I'm down here too, and I died. Yeah, so that didn't go very well. We're gonna go try and find a different spot to find these. Okay, I am back. So going into rubs, this is what I would consider a rub, and that's just kind of where there's a lot of reasons why they do it. They'll do that to visually communicate, for scent marking, removing velvet, and establishing dominance. If I saw this, I would think it was a very large white-tailed deer antler size, which lines up. Mature deer rub on bigger trees, kind of. I mean, this is obviously not a big tree, but mature deer will rub on bigger trees. And they actually have preferred scents. They like to rub on pine, cedar, sassafras, red bay, and sweet bay. they like to get the fragrances from the trees, which I find is really interesting. So this I don't think is any of it, but it'll help explain another one. We'll kind of go over to this bunch over here too. Goodbye, friend. See what this is. No, same thing. Cool. In a more farmland or urban environment, they will rub on fence posts, utility posts, and other structures. This is kind of another example of a rub. I would also think if I saw this hunting, would be an elk. They have glands on their foreheads which will rub on the tree, and that'll leave their own scent and their own information about the buck. Going on to a scrape, they don't have this in the game, but we're still going to use this as an example. If I was the deer, I'm going to make a scrape right here. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find an overhead branch. So we're just going to use this one for example. They would rub their same thing, rub their forehead gland on it. They then kind of bite and chew the ends of this, or just the stick in general. They will then look down directly underneath it, and they'll use their hooves and they'll scrape away parts, or the foliage and the leaves and anything, and then they'll pee in it, and that will mark their territory. Interestingly enough, I found this kind of interesting too, because I didn't know it either. Goodness. Apparently I didn't know how to say it either. Majority of scrapes are made at night, so that is really cool, and it kind of makes sense. There's a lot of trail cam footage of deer making the scrapes at night. The scrapes can help communicate just the buck's presence, dominance, and breeding status. So then, going into their kind of daily activity, why was I hunting them in the morning? I didn't explain that, obviously, but it was the morning. It was early. Well, that's because they're crepuscular. Crepuscular, meaning they're most active at dawn and dusk, which does make a lot of sense. When I hunt, we're hunting, we get out in the morning early, before the sun's out, and then we'll go until the sun. Sometimes we'll go until the sun's down, or we'll go sit before the sun goes down, or when it's getting ready to set. There's a lot of factors that will determine when deer are up and moving. That can be weather, hunting pressure, and then human disturbances. As you can tell, I'm obviously a very big disturbance to a lot of these animals in this game for a number of reasons. But weather is one I think is really interesting, and I've seen it myself. When we had big storms moving through back home, you would see a lot more deer activity. You could tell if the weather was going to be as bad as they said, if the deer were up and moving, and they were actively getting out of there. Usually we had some herds over here. Snorkeling. Take a quick look. Well, I'm not seeing any, but I'm also not in a good position for it. So hunting weather patterns is something you can do, but yeah, the weather is a big part. It messes with them. They'll hunker down during the actual storm, but during and after, they heard me, but we're gonna still try and push in on them. No, you're here. Oh, ooh, a 4-star mule deer? Oh, I don't want to lose him though. More active before and after storms. Some of the research and some stuff that I did find was saying they're more active during windy conditions. I see that's hit or miss. I've seen it both ways. We're gonna go back to this spot. It helped me maybe illustrate a point if our deer are still here. But deer, for social structure, they're semi-gregarious, which means that they kind of have loose herds. They're not like packs. We'll get over here. Huh. Cool. Alright, so you can kind of see them through these trees. We'll slide. Oh, I died going down that one. I'll go down it again. Just crouch. The deer, they form the looser herds. So you see these guys here. That might be our 4-star right there. The 2-star adult? Goodness. If I can get a second shot at you, you're going to go down, but I don't want to put too much pressure on them. Pressure is another thing. Hunting pressure does change a lot of where they're at. If they're getting a lot of pressure, they'll obviously move. But they're not true herds. They're also not herdless, not fully solitary. They'll hang out if they want to hang out. These groups typically consist of the does and the yearlings, and usually some smaller bucks. But the bucks tend to be a little more solitary, especially during the rut, their home range changes. Well, what's the home range? That's just kind of the area they'll inhabit. During the summer, that can be anywhere between like 536 acres. During the rut, that will go up to about 865 acres, with the bucks usually making that range wider. So we're gonna get into the predators. Deer's biggest predator, being completely honest, is the human. We do a lot to the populations just through hunting. I did see a number. Okay, I saw a number. I hope they're here. Maybe I goofed. We're gonna find these guys. I'm not giving up on that 5-star. Could be over here. We're just gonna hunt. We're gonna hunt. Not hunting the wind well, obviously, but I'm really, really hoping they're to the left, not dead ahead. One of the numbers I was seeing was like 3 or 6 million. That's obviously a very big difference per year for hunting. I might be wrong. I'll fact check that here in a second. I'll put that up on the screen. But the other natural predators are mountain lions, wolves, and bears. Obviously, that's very range dependent back home. It'd really just be mountain lions and mountain lions. We don't have bears or wolves wild. Where are you guys? You can't hide. We'll find them. With fawns are much more vulnerable. Their biggest threats are bobcats, coyotes, and bears. Winters are really hard. Weather is another thing that can affect them, as well as disease. The biggest one for deer is the chronic wasting disease. This is a neurological one. It causes loss of coordination, weight loss, and behavioral changes. This is also sometimes known as the zombie disease, because they act very strange during this. You can look up videos of it. They're a little disturbing. Other things that can affect them are lice, mites, and roundworms. And because the diseases and stuff can spread, that does have quite a big impact on populations. Where's the gang? You guys coming down? I want that 5-star. I'm hunting until I get it. Okay, I slept again. I'm gonna try and get on these guys. The wind is awful, but try and make it happen. So I alluded to this at the beginning of the video. It's probably one of the facts that I find the most interesting about whitetails, is that the fact that they are opportunistic eaters. Meaning that if they're not getting enough nutrients from their normal supply, they will eat small mammals. They'll eat meat, like dead meat, carrion, and they'll even in a reported case eat decaying human flesh. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, yeah, deer are kind of metal in that way. So next time you watch Bambi, just know that Bambi, he may eat some of his friends. That's the main gist and the main summary of the research that I did on white-tailed deer. I found it very interesting, very informative, especially for something that I have spent a lot of my life hunting. Let me know what you guys thought. What did you guys find the most interesting about whitetail? What I found the most interesting was probably the two. I have two things I found the most interesting. The first being obviously the fact that they're opportunistic eaters. That's just wild. I saw a video of one eating a snake. That was insane. The other is the fact that their hair is hollow, and that is, I think it's just interesting because that works similar, like just insulation. I think that's really, really cool. It makes sense, especially why in some areas they used the caribou skin to make jackets and keep warm. I am going to hunt this 5-star. I will find this 5-star for you guys. I'll make sure I get it into this video. I will see you guys here in a little bit after I find this deer. Alright. took me a little bit, but they're finally back here. Don't die, don't die. Oh my gosh. They're finally back here, so let's go see if our 5 stars in it. I'm a little worried he died. Not seeing the rest, but they're probably going to come up over this hill. I guess I should just sit and wait. No, they're all right here. Okay, you look. Oh, he's still 4. Dang it. Oh, okay, alright, we're chilling, we got him. Oh man, I was very sad for a second. Alright, we're gonna lay the hammer on this dude. No, not stand up. I said lay the hammer. Now I gotta find him again. I'm actually kind of an idiot. This is actually kind of how I hunt in real life, too. Poorly. Alright. A little worried we weren't going to find him, but he's right here. I'm going to try and put that round straight through the front shoulder. This will be a good time. I want to make sure that's you. That buck to the side looks really big too. What are you? Dang, 2 4 stars, a 5, and a 3. This is a very good herd. I said I shot some of my biggest deer in here. If you play Way of the Hunter, diamond drill. Alright, we're gonna... Perfect. No. Why? Okay. Oh yeah, that's our boy. Keep going. Stop. Alright, here we go. Stop. Oh, I got a doe behind you. And you laid down. Oh my gosh. Alright, I'm gonna keep this on you. I could shoot you in your bed. Kind of a mean move though, if you're asking me. Yeah, it's a good buck. That's a big buck. I would be shivering in me timbers if I saw him. Alright. You're laying down, you're walking a little bit. We're gonna put that right about. Nope. We have to wait. No, alright. No, oh my gosh. I gotta make sure that's you. No, it's not you. Where did you... I lost him again. Stop moving. 4. Where's my 5? Don't tell me I lost him. He's probably laying down. Not losing this guy. I'm gonna get him. Don't you worry, friends. Don't you worry, gang. I guess that's not him. Where'd you go? Okay, he's standing right there. Stop crawling. Alright. And we're gonna drop him right here. A little low. Yeah, he's gonna go down. Whew. I was starting to get a little worried there. I cannot lie. Yeah, same thing. Air bubbles, long, he's down. Follow the hill. You guys really just stopped and said, how are you guys calm? I take a look at that group, but we got the 5 star, and that's what I cared about. Normally on a shot, especially like a rifle shot, it kind of depends. If they start running, if you didn't think you made a good shot, you let them lay. Give them a little bit to peacefully pass, especially in archery. That's the bigger one. It does take them a little longer to expire. Just make sure that you're giving them that time, not just doing what I'm doing, rushing after them. Oh, there he is. And here he is. Let's take a look. So, yeah, let's do the analysis. I could have definitely aimed a lot further forward. I would have got more lung. And if I would have gone a little more forward, it probably wouldn't went straight into the heart, but as it is, It looks like it's probably going to be, it was a single lung. 97.64% is insane. We're taxidermying this bad boy, but he's a big deer. The kilograms, make it, oh my gosh. Kilograms turn into pounds. Let's go. All right, let's take a look. This dude's insane. Yeah, it's dope. All right, let's make sure I taxidermy. There we go. All right, so get this guy put up in the lodge. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Why am I stuck? What's this? No, I don't want to push you there. What's this? Sure. Yeah. Take a look at him. Oh, yeah. And that'll do it for this episode about the whitetail. We got the 5-star mature. We had a great time doing so. And let me know down in the comments, what did you find the most interesting about this animal? What do you want to know more about? Would you want an even more in-depth video about the whitetail? Just let me know. Feel free to leave a like, a comment, a subscribe if you feel so inclined. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next hunt.